everyone, I'm Jo, and today I'm going to show you how to make a really beautiful bracelet, and depending on what colours you choose, it's perfect for day wear, but glitz it up a bit and you've got a really glam bracelet for the evening. So this is what I'm going to show you how to make. I'm going to just drape it across my arm quickly so you can see. So it's not chunky or big, it's quite a delicate little bracelet. We're going to be using a internationally known stitch called flat herringbone. We're going to bead it all as one piece, so it's not a question of creating a beaded net and filling it in. It's all beaded as we move up the bracelet. There are not many materials needed for this project, or ingredients as I like to call them. So we've got one tube of size 11 seed beads, and I'm using Galvanised Gold here. And I have got some 3mm fire polish beads, and I've got them, they're jet AB, so they've, depending on which way they fall, they've got quite a bit of sparkle to them in that AB coating. So it's just the size 11 seed beads and the 3mm fire polish. You'll need a toggle clasp or any kind of clasp. You might choose to bead one yourself. I've got my thread zappers here ready to end off my thread, and I'm using Fireline. I'm using 6-pound black satin, and I've got a size 10 beading needles. So you've probably got all of what we need in your stash already. No need to go out and buy any more beads. Because we're beading the bracelet from start to finish, it would be really useful if we could just use one length of thread. So if you cut yourself a length of 3 meters and add it onto your needle, you're going to leave yourself about a 10 or 15 centimeter tail, because we're going to start at one end and finish at the other end. So whichever end you've started at, that tail you've left, you're going to use to add on one end of your toggle clasp. And I'm going to start doing this bracelet using ladder stitch, because that just gives me 2 rows instantly. And what I need is 6 columns of 2 beads, and that will all make sense in a little while. So I'm going to start off by picking up 4 of my seed beads, and I'm going to move them down towards the end of my tail, remembering to leave that 10-15 centimeters so that you can add on your clasp. And I'm going to pass the needle back up through numbers 1 and 2, and that means that beads 3 and 4 will form a second column of 2 alongside beads 1 and 2. So pull your thread through, and as I pull through, you can see how those 2 beads, numbers 3 and 4, are moving, and they're now 2 columns of 2, and I need 6 in total. So I need to get my needle to the outermost edge of my beadwork. I'm just going to pass straight down through those second 2 beads. Now I'm on the outer edge. I can pick up another 2, and I'm going to pass the needle back through the previous 2 beads from the opposite direction. So the thread is exiting the base and I'm coming through the beads from the top. And I now have 3 columns of 2. And again, I'm passing back up through the last 2 beads I've just added, so that I'm on the outermost edge of my work. And then I can pick up another 2. And this time the thread is exiting the top of those last 2. So I'm going to go back through the 2, but from the bottom. I've now got 4 columns of 2. So I'm moving my way to the outermost edge, and I'm going to pick up another 2 and add them on, so that I've got 5 columns of 2. Pass back up through the last 2, and I'm on the outer edge, and I'm adding my last column of 2 11s. And just as I went to the outer edge, I'm going to come down through those last 2 that I've just added. So I have got my 6 columns of 2 beads, but I have one issue with this. My tail thread is along this bottom edge, as is my working thread. So I now need to get my working thread to the top edge here so that I can continue beading. So I'm coming one bead to the left and coming up through it. And now I'm taking my thread straight across this intersection between the two rows of beads, and I'm going to pass the needle up through the bead on the right hand side. And now I've got my tail thread one way and my working thread the other way. And now we're going to start our pattern. So I'm going to pick up two beads, and this is where the bit of the flat herringbone comes in. Picking up two. I do have a full tutorial on flat herringbone, and I'll pop the link in the comments so you can refresh your memories if you need to. And I'm going to come down one bead to the left of where my thread was exiting. So the two beads I've just picked up are going to sit on top of the two from the row before. Now I'm going to come up one on the left, so alongside where I've just added those two, and I'm going to go down through the next one on the left. I haven't picked up any beads, so this is going to create a little dip in the center here. So I've got 3 rows of 2 on the end, and in the middle I've only got 2 rows of 2. I'm now going to come up through the bead, the next bead on the left, so I'm into the last pair of beads now, and just as I've got a little wall that's being built on the outside on the right, I'm going to build the same wall on the left. I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads, and I'm going to come down through the last one on the left, and you'll see now that I have that very definite little gap in the center with walls on either side. So I find with herringbone stitch, it's easy for me to work from right to left, to bead from right to left the whole time. So I've come right over to the left-hand side of my work. I'm going to flip it over, and I now need to get back up to the top. So I'm coming across one bead on the left, and I'm coming up. Try and move my fingers out the way so you can see. I'm coming up through the bead on the left, taking the thread straight across, and I'm coming up through the bead on the outermost right hand side. Each time I bead across, I'm going to be adding to these walls on the side, so I need to pick up 2, come down 1 on the left, and now I'm going to fill in this gap. So I'm going to pick up one of my 3mm fire polish beads. I'm going to skip across the gap in the middle, filling it in and coming up through the first bead on the right hand side of my wall that's on the left. And that little fire polish has filled in that gap beautifully, and I now need to finish the wall on the left, picking up 2 and coming down through 1 on the left. I've got to the extreme left hand side, so I'm going to flip my beadwork back again, and I'm going to do my little step up. So across and up through 1 bead, that's on the left. And now as I try and keep it still for the camera, I'm looking very clumsy. So up through 1 bead on the left, pull your thread across to the outside, and you're going to come through the bead on the extreme right at the top there. And you're ready to start your next row. So we've just done a row where we filled in the gap with the fire polish bead. Now we need to build the sides again. So we're going to pick up 2, come down through 1, take your needle through the fire polish bead that's in the gap and up through the first one on the left. And we're going to build the left hand side by picking up 2 and passing down through the 1. If you're not flipping your work over, just get the tail out the way. So I've now got to the extreme left hand side of my work. I'm on this edge, but I need to get to the top. So I'm going to come across and up through 1. This is if you haven't flipped your work over. And up through the 1 on the extreme left. If you'd flipped your work over already, you would have done that step up and you would be this way around. Now, so we did a row, we filled in the gap with the black, then we did a row of building the sides. We're now going to build a bridge across between the 2 sides, but each time we're building the side walls too. So I've picked up 2 and I come down through 1. And to build the bridge, I'm going to pick up another 2 and come up through 1 on the other side. And you'll see how that makes a little line across the top of the fire polish. We need to build the wall on the left, so pick up 2 and come down 1. And then you need to step up again. So up through 1 on the side, and then up through the 1 that's on the outer edge. And I'm going to flip around. And now it becomes a pattern. So I'm picking up 2 and I'm coming down 1. I'm going to fill in the gap by picking up a fire polish and coming up through 1 on the side. And then I need to build up the outer edge on the side by picking up 2 and coming down through 1. And I'm going to do the step up once more this way. So across and up through 1 and up through the outer edge. So we've done the filling in. Now we need to build the outer walls as we go through the fire polish. So pick up 2, come down 1, go straight through your fire polish bead and up through 1 bead on the left. And we're going to build the wall on the left. Now I'm on the extreme left hand side, and as we started we flipped over and we came up through 1. On the camera it's actually easier for me stepping up on the other side. So up through 1. Don't get your threads caught like I just have, so take your time. And across to the outside and up through the outermost edge. So we did the filler, the row where we added the fire polish. We then built the outside walls, so that was the row where we added to the outside, went through the fire polish, added to the outside. Now it's our 3rd row in the little sequence where we've got to build the bridge. So 2 for the outside, come down 1, 2 to form the little bridge across the top of the fire polish and up 1 on the left hand side. And then 2 for the outer wall on the left. Come down 1. Make sure those beads are sitting correctly. and you're ready to step up to the top and the outer edge. So across and up one, and then diagonally up through the outermost bead, and you're ready to start again. So this is the one where we fill in the gap, picking up 2, come down 1, fill in the gap with a fire polish bead, come up 1 on the left, pick up 2, and come down through 1. Step up, to the outermost edge, and now we're going to do the row that just builds the outer edges. So pick up 2, come down 1, without picking up any more beads, go through the fire polish and up through 1 on the left. Pick up 2 and come down on the left. Step up to the outside, through the outer edge, and now we're ready to build the bridge between the 2 sides. So that's our third little row in the sequence. Pick up 2, come down 1, pick up 2 to form the bridge across the fire polish and up through 1 on the left, pick up another 2 and come down through 1, and you're ready to step up so that you can start the sequence all over again. So up to the outside, and I would flip my work. So I am now ready to start this little sequence again. Pick up 2 for the wall, fill in the gap with a fire polish, and 2 for the wall. Your second row after that is just building the sides and coming through the fire polish and building the side. And your third row is when you pick up 2 for the side and 2 to make the little bridge across the top of the fire polish, and 2 on the other side. And you're going to continue doing that for a length that is required to go around your wrist. Remember to leave about an inch, especially if you're adding in a toggle clasp, because that toggle from the end of my beadworks to the edge of the toggles takes at least an inch of my beadwork. So if I normally make bracelets that are 7 inches long, this part between my fingers is going to be 6 inches, and the toggle will take it to 7. So I'll come back to you and show you how to add on the clasp. So you will have beaded a full length to go around your wrist, and before we add the clasp, I need to show you how to make both ends look the same. Do you remember how we started with ladder stitch on this side? We need to make the other end look the same so that our bracelet ends off correctly. So we had 6 columns of 2 at the start here, so I want 6 columns of 2 up at the top here. So having just finished adding my bridge and stepping up to the outside, I'm now going to start trying to make this end look exactly the same as the start. So I'm not going to pick up any beads, I'm just going to come down through 2 at the top here, and I'm going to come up through the first bridge bead that I had, and I'm going to pick up 2, and I'm going to come down through the second bridge bead, and this will give me my column of 2 in the center. And now I'm going to come up through 2 on the left. but I need to get these sitting correctly so that there aren't gaps between the columns here. So the outer walls are quite secure. They're together because we've been doing flat herringbone stitch there. So they are fine. I'm now going to work backwards and come down through the two in the center. And this will join them together at the top there. And I'm going to come back up through the two on the right in the center. These were my original bridge beads. And come up through them there. Up through one. And it's not playing ball for me. It's misbehaving. Up through one, up through the second one. We got there in the end. So these four here are quite secure, but now, can you see this V gap between the two where my thread's coming out and the outer wall? So if I come back down through those two beads on the outer wall, it's going to join that gap together at the top there, so it makes it neat. And I'm just going to come up through the two on the outside, and I'm ready to add in one part of my clasp. You see how that's finished that off exactly the same now. The top and the bottom are matching. So adding on the clasp, as I always say, there are no rules. What I did was I picked up 7 of my size 11 seed beads. 5, 6, 7. Came through one end of my toggle and back through the 2 seed beads that are closest to my toggle. When you pull it through, you don't get the gaps. So I added 7 and I'm back through 2. I need 5 to equal up the sides. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to come down through 2 on the extreme left. And you'll see that's a neat little finish to add in your toggle. Now, I often talk about reinforcing. So reinforcing means you've got to do it all over again. So you need to work through your beads until you're back to the start where you started to add your toggle in. So I'm just doing ladder stitch through 2 beads at a time, up and down the columns until I get to the other side, and down through these 2, and then up through the 2 on the right. Now I repeat the process. I'm not picking up any beads. I'm just adding another layer of thread through the entire attachment area. Your clasp takes the most beating because you're using it to put on and take off the bracelet all the time. So I've come back up through all 7. I'm going to go back through the loop in the toggle and down through the first 2 that are closest to the toggle, and then back down through the 5 on the other side and down through a couple of the beads on that outer edge, because I'm now going to end off my thread. So this, by reinforcing it, you have just made it totally secure by coming back up through those beads, through the toggle, and back down the other side. It's now got a double layer of thread that is less likely to undo with all the wear and tear. And you're going to end off your thread just by going up and down through this outer edge. So I'm going to create a little maze and lose my thread. I'm coming down through 4, and as long as I take the thread straight across and go up through a couple, you don't even have to count. You just need to make sure that each time you change direction, whether you're going up or down, you take the thread straight across and then down or up the other side. And like I say, you don't have to go through the same number of beads each time. You're just tying that thread up in knots by coming up and down and round about and creating a little maze. So I'm only going up 1 there, oops, straight across, and I'm going to come down. And once you've done that a little while, you can just zap your thread off and you'll know that it's all secure. So if we come back to the one that I actually completed, attach the other end of the toggle in exactly the same way, and then you reinforce it by coming up and down through that end bit of ladder and then back through the beads that you added to create your toggle. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below and I promise to answer them as quickly as I see them. Thank you so much for watching and see you again soon. Bye.